Donald Trump igniting a passionate debate in the GOP over immigration, specifically the issue of birthright citizenship, what it means for the Republican frontrunner, and the 2016 general election fight.
Are you aware that the term anchor baby, that's an offensive term? People find that.
You mean it's not politically correct and yet everybody uses it? So you know what? Give me a different term. Give me a different term. What else would you like to say?
Welcome back, everybody. From America's election headquarters, Donald Trump taking his show to the Deep South. And loving every minute of it, the Republican frontrunner holding a rally in a football stadium in Alabama where thousands turned out to hear Mr. Trump rail on illegal immigration, the nuke deal with Iran, and his fellow Republican candidates. Senior national correspondent John Roberts has more now from the campaign trail in Mobile.
The official crowd estimate of 30,000 comes from the Mobile mayor's office. If that number is accurate, that would mean that Trump had the largest campaign event so far of the 2016 cycle, eclipsing the previous record held by Bernie Sanders of 28,000 in Portland, Oregon. Alabama, not your typical campaign stop for the primaries. However, this year, the state is part of a six-state SEC primary that comes fairly early, March 1st, so Trump is pursuing a southern strategy as a potential route to the nomination. Mobile is also next door to the Florida Panhandle, and last night, Trump continued to pound Florida Governor Jeb Bush.
Jeb Bush, who's totally in favor of Common Core, weak on immigration, right? Very weak on immigration, wants to let people come in. Although now he is using anchor baby. You know, he put out a memo, you cannot use anchor baby. Now because I used it, he's using it. Politicians.
Bush supporters counterattacked last night, his super PAC flying a small plane over Trump Stadium, hauling a banner saying Trump is for higher taxes. Bush's campaign also sent out a mass email to voters in Alabama insisting Trump is not a real conservative. People in the crowd last night didn't seem to care about Trump's conservative bona fides. They told me they like him because he's no BS and will act in the best interests of the country. Though one woman apparently told Trump he lacked a presidential characteristic she thought important.
A woman came up to me. She said, I'm not sure that you're nice enough to be president. I said, you know what? This is not going to be an election based on a nice person. It's going to be based on a competent person. We're tired of the nice people.
One thing Trump has perfected, the Bill Clinton flyover. During the 1990s, Bill Clinton used to fly Air Force One around venues a couple of times before landing. Last night, Donald Trump looped his 757 around the stadium here in Mobile before touching down. Not quite Air Force One, but which other candidate could do what Trump did? In Mobile, Alabama, John Roberts, Fox News.
John, thank you. Well, Donald Trump igniting that fierce debate over his stance on immigration reform, calling for an end to birthright citizenship, and his use of a controversial term referring to the American-born children of undocumented immigrants. But what does this mean for the Republican frontrunner and the debate over illegal immigration, with some in the GOP divided on just how to deal with some contentious aspects over immigration? Well, let's bring in Republican Congressman Steve King from Iowa, also a member of the House Judiciary Committee. I had a chance to catch up with him earlier. As I understand it, you believe that Trump's message on immigration could add momentum to efforts in Congress right now this fall, of course, to tackle the issue of so-called anchor babies and the clause in the 14th Amendment that spells out in Article 1, Section 9, that Congress shall have the power to establish a uniform rule of naturalization, which means there's really no need to amend the 14th Amendment, right?
That's exactly where I am and have been for a long time, Uma. And when I introduced the Birthright Citizenship Act, which is H.R. 140, it's based on those principles. We've had testimony before the Judiciary Committee in the United States Congress and the House of Representatives a number of times. And I recall that some of that testimony was somewhere between 340,000 and 750,000 babies were born in America to mothers and fathers who were illegally present in the United States, unlawfully present present. And of course, that's grown into millions of newly minted citizens who are today, they're sending out the invitations to their family tree and bringing them into America on the family reunification plan. It's a foolish immigration policy.
You know, the 14th Amendment, a lot of folks don't realize, was originally designed to focus on the ancestors of slaves. And over the years, it's morphed into the belief that anyone born here in the U.S., legal or illegal, is automatically a U.S. citizen. Legal scholars have been at odds over this for years.
The phrase that says all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are American citizens. I want to make the point, and I hope Bill O'Reilly hears this as well, there are no redundant clauses in the United States Constitution. And that clause, and subject to the jurisdiction thereof, was a carefully thought out, carefully crafted and drafted phrase, much debated back in that era of 1867 and 68, to ensure that the babies born to diplomats or their staff or their families would not be automatically citizens of the United States. And the people that say that the Constitution has to be amended in order to end birthright citizenship are invariably the people that think birthright citizenship is a good idea. And those who think it's a good idea generally are the beneficiaries of it, whether it would happen to be the cheap labor beneficiaries or whether they are the political beneficiaries, generally Democrats, at least 2-1 to Republicans.
In the heat of the campaign, some are charging that the use of the term anchor babies is offensive. But not only is Trump saying that he's going to continue to use the term, others like Jeb Bush are saying it is not offensive at all and blaming Democrats for perpetuating the idea that it's a loaded term.
I remember a conversation that I had at the beginning of the previous Congress with 3 or 4 senators, some of them newly elected, and 3 or 4 House members, all speaking about the immigration issue. And one of them, a wise individual whom I count a friend today, said we have to be careful how we use our language, because if we're not careful how we use our language, the other side will take advantage of it. And so let's tone down our rhetoric. And I listened to that, and that's true, and I accept that. It was a fairly wise statement. But I said we also need to recognize that whatever language we use that is effective, the other side will declare it to be offensive in order to get us to stop using the effective language.
Well, let me ask you this. Why do you think this issue over anchor babies and overall immigration reform is striking a big nerve among voters this year?
I think it's because, especially the left, but the active media left and others, because they attacked Donald Trump for taking that position in print. And it's forced the public to look at it and evaluate the policy. So that put it into the national news. People examined it and they thought there's something really wrong with rewarding someone who snuck into America, rewarding them with their children with citizenship and an opportunity to bring the rest of their family in after they reach age. So I think that's it. Sometimes I have to say some things into the record that get people's attention in a certain way to force the debate. When we actually have the debate, we have a more logical result coming out the other end. That's what I think this is.
And the debate rages on. Our thanks to Congressman King. Okay.